Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be talking about how I think RuneScape could be improved. So these are obviously just my ideas and my opinions, so they aren't necessarily the most optimal or most fully fledged ideas or anything like that, but I do think some of these would have some merit, and I would personally like to see them added to the game, but of course, just my opinion and all. You're free to disagree or agree if you like as well. And yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so first up is actually something I do believe most people would agree on, and that is we need more quests in the game. To be fair, we did get 2 or 3 of them, but that's really not that much considering how many were released when the original game was getting updated. We do have one Grandmaster quest, which is Monkey Madness 2, which to be fair is a really long quest, but there are so many areas and updates that have happened that have not had a quest related to it. I personally feel that any major content update should absolutely have an introductory quest associated with it. A good example of this is Zaya. There is now one quest, but I don't think there was when it was released, and it's a huge continent. It should have like a dozen quests at least on release or something like that to help you explore the area. I personally barely go there because I don't know, I just haven't learned much about it. It's not easily spoon-fed to me. Now, I don't mean every piece of content has to be spoon-fed to the audience, but there should be something to kind of lead you there, and without having to just go to this big, bleak landmass on your own and try to figure it out. It's nice to have a little tutorial or an introduction via a quest is always nice. Problem is that quests seem to take a lot of dev time, and since they're only really completable once, they feel like it's not really a good use of their time. But I would have to disagree. I feel like quests are very integral for what RuneScape is. It kind of is the backbone of the entire game. Without quests, it would literally just be a grind fest with nothing kind of attaching it together. It's kind of like the thing glue that kind of holds all the puzzle pieces together, if you want to get a little metaphorical on it. So I feel like instead of adding like Slayer requirements or level requirements to a lot of the new content, while those should still kind of be there, I feel like adding a quest requirement would be a little bit more true to what old school RuneScape is. Like, let's say the Brutal Black Dragons. Why not just add a higher level quest that has some skill requirements or something else, and then it does also kind of prevent bots from abusing it, and then there's a requirement for it, and there's a quest for it, and it kind of ties it together nicely instead of just slapping a Slayer requirement on it or something like that. Now next up is something that actually Autumn Elegy talked about, and that is we need more unique skilling methods in the game, because right now 90% of them are very similar. I am really excited for Fossil Island coming out because I do feel like there is some potential there, but so many of the ones currently in the game just kind of revolve around spam clicking an NPC or doing the exact same action over and over and over and over and over again. So one way I think that you could kind of improve skilling is by adding a little more variation into what you are getting, because currently, let's say you're fletching you longbows. You get the items out of your bank and you know exactly what you're going to get as a result afterwards. You know exactly how much experience you're getting, you can calculate exactly how much money per hour you're getting. What I think would be fun is if there was a little more randomness into it. So like, I know you can get pets from skilling, which true is another reward you can get from doing an activity, but say maybe 1 in 1,000 chance of receiving a slightly upgraded bow or a different item or something more valuable, or anything that is a little bit different and has a bit of RNG, because RNG does make things more exciting. Obviously you can't rely on it too heavily or it makes the game not very skillful, but I believe that a little bit of RNG could be added into a lot of these kind of basic skilling methods to make it more engaging. Now there are definitely a couple fun skills in the game, and my favorites are probably farming and construction. Now these are good examples of skills that actually offer good incentives to train them, as well as a bunch of different methods to train them. Like construction, you have probably like 100 different ways you could actually train construction, and while they're not all viable, there are multiple methods that actually are worth training. Farming, same thing, you can do it for profit or you could do it for a higher experience rate, and farming is kind of unique, whereas skills like fire making, cooking, crafting, all that is all very similar. You're going to be buying a couple items, attaching them together, something like that. And I don't think we should go ahead and change all the methods already in the game, But I do feel like for new skilling updates, stuff like minnows and stuff like that really isn't that much different. It's not really any more engaging or any more fun. I feel like the mod should take a minute to actually design a skilling method that is completely different and just more engaging. And I'm really excited for Fossil Island, and I do hope it can deliver on something like that. So while I'm not going to talk about PvP too much, because honestly I just don't do it that much, and I don't really know that much about it, I do kind of feel that it is very important for the growth of the game, because if you go look at Deadman mode, you'll look at many of the larger YouTubers, they all focus on PvP content because it's exciting to watch for most people. So I do feel like adding new content for PvP is important because it kind of helps garner a new audience for the game, and I think overall is going to benefit everybody if there's more players playing, even if the PvP updates don't directly affect a large body of the player base. Now another thing that I think is really important for the integrity of the game, but really is lacking in Old School Runescape, is reasons for us to play together. Now back in 2007, this didn't need to be manufactured artificially so much. Because we were younger, people were naturally more approachable and more inclined to talk to each other and do things together. Now that the player base is a lot older, people are a little bit more isolated in some ways and don't automatically do that. Now I think a really good way of achieving this is through minigames. Now currently I don't think there are enough incentives to actually continually play minigames. Yes, there are some important items that you have to get from doing minigames, but once you get them you almost never go back and play them again. Now I do think making Castle Wars free to play was an excellent idea, but my suggestion would be to make some of the minigame items, like say the fighter torso, actually degradable, and you have to go back and repair it with tokens you'd earn from the minigame instead of something like gold. Now it doesn't have to be a ton of tokens because you don't want people to get too annoyed with having to go repeat minigames they might not like, but I think adding actual meaningful incentives to play the different minigames that actually would need to be repeated because of degradable items would be a good step forward for us actually playing together. I kind of feel like some of the more obscure items you might be able to obtain in other ways could be actually added to different minigame shops to actually give them merit, because there's so many that are completely dead. Like Trouble Brewing, like what the fuck is the point of going to Trouble Brewing? I feel like playing the minigames should not just be for cosmetic items. I feel like there should be more actual items that have uses in the game. So my last suggestion is kind of one that I'm not quite sure what you guys would think about, so definitely leave a comment if you like it or if you don't like it. But I do feel like this would help with the power creep in the game. It might help create a gold sink and generally just keep things more dynamic. So here it is. So what I think would be cool is if RuneScape added in, I'm just going to call it seasonal training methods. So what I mean is that certain methods in the game or certain monsters you kill would not be necessarily available all the time. Some things could be decommissioned for in-game reasons. I'm not saying you just remove them, but here's an example. And I'm using the redwood tree, and I know this is not by far OP or anything like that, but here it is. So the redwood trees are endangered of being extinct by the redwood beetle. They will not be available until the winter when the beetle dies off from the cold. So let's just say that the redwood trees at the time were the best method of training in the game. They're much better than other training methods for woodcutting. So now you just take that right off the table, and people have to go ahead and try for some other methods. I do realize that this would have a pretty heavy effect on the economy, and things would be fluctuating a lot more than they currently are. But imagine just for, say, like brutal black dragons, let's say that the cavern got shut off by an earthquake or something like that, and now you just have to go make do with what you have. It would be kind of an interesting way of adding in methods. Let's say that they add in a very good money-making method, but it's only available 1 week of the month. Something like that. So it's, yes, it is the best method in the game, but it's not available all the time, and you have to make do with other methods while it's not available. That's one of its drawbacks, whereas more consistent moneymakers maybe never get taken out of the game. So kind of seasonal things like that. I could also incorporate a gold sink to it. Maybe you need the entire RuneScape population to contribute 2 million coal to open up the coal mine again, or something like that. Just kind of vomiting ideas out at you guys, but I was kind of thinking of this, and I think that it could be interesting. But again, what do you guys think about that? Anyway guys, that's pretty much all I had to say about this. Just some of my personal ideas. But I think I would enjoy if RuneScape actually added to the game. But of course, not going to work for everyone, and again, just my opinion, so don't wreck me too hard. But of course, it's a free country, you can go ahead and say whatever you want in the comment section. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.